The original aim was to do some embossing in leather, and this is one of the 3D moulds that was pressing into that, and that was the kind of outcome. Some of them turned out really well. This one, that came out really good. Some of them's a bit faded, and even on this one, because the vise that we're using is quite narrow, it kind of fades off at the bottom and the top, because the way we were doing this is putting that on there and then clamping that into the vise, and the vise really only acts across the middle bit. So what we need to do is build a new press, and to that end I've sent off for some metal here. It's about 20 centimeters long by 10 wide. You can get it at 150 wide, but I was going to make it this sort of size, manageable. It kind of fits these notebook sizes. First step is to clean some flash off some of the cut burrs off these. And then I'm degreasing, probably try some IPA. Just get next we sent off for some 8mm bolts. These are 40mm long, and nuts, and the idea is going to be to have these in the corner like that, with the other plate going on top, and then we're just going to tighten that up with a spanner and see what that looks like. To mark these out, I'm going to use some engineer's blue just to put it. And what I'm going to do really is going to mark one out and drill that, and then use that as a guide to drill through to the other one. So I'm going to put a hole around about 10mm from the edge. So there's a radius on that, so I'm just going to use this to keep an eye on the corner. And then 10mm down. That'll be the first one, and then I've got an automatic centre punch. And that marks out that one there, and I'm going to repeat that for all the other three. I've just cleaned the holes up here, so we've got those four, and then bolted it on top of the other plate. And rather than try and marking it or templating it out like that, I'm just going to take the drill that I used to drill the top holes and just lightly spot through, and then I'll use that. I've got the clamps in there to keep it hopefully in place in all four directions. So this is the 8mm hole, and we've got some coolant oil, cutting oil, just put on there, give it a bit of help, and that goes through. Last thing I do once the holes are drilled is run this deburring tool just over the holes, give them a nice little edge. See, that gives a good finish to the hole, and that's done, and these are now ready for painting. So we're going to paint these and then see if it works. We're going to make some embossing tools in 3D printed plastic, and we're using a program called Tinkercad, and it's sketching up the design and working out the sort of shapes that we want to put in it. And of course, one of the other things is we need to reverse any text we've got, because we're going to have a mirror image printed, and we export this and then send it off to the printer for printing. And this is the 3D print in PETG, and you can see the logo has been returned. So take this and we'll go and use this. Here is the 3D print that we've made with reverse lettering, and it's going to both sides at once. So what we do is we have a piece of veg tan, natural finish, and then we're going to take a cut from that. I'm not going to cut it too tightly, so that we don't have to worry about lining it up 100%. We don't want to waste too much, so save that, and then we're going to soak that in fresh water for about 30 seconds. And then we're going to get the press ready. So the idea will be, we'll place the veg tan onto this surface, place the embosser on top, plate on top, and tighten it up. I'm going to place a piece of paper just under that to keep that a little bit cleaner. That should do the trick. So that's the veg tan. Place that on there. Place the mould on top. The embossing on top. And then we're going to tighten up so it's getting sandwiched in there quite nicely. And then I'm just going to tighten this up a little bit to make sure we've got something nice and even compression. And I'm going to leave that to sit for about 15 minutes. Let's see what we've got. We've let this set for about 15 minutes. take that out. We've got a really nice impression on there, and it's right up to the edges as well, so that means this plate has definitely worked. So we're going to leave that to dry, trim it out, and we should have a keyring. Going to make a couple of little additions to this already. I'm going to add these. These are lock nuts. They're about half the size of a normal nut, and when I'm using these plates, it's going to mean that we can put the plate on, put the leather on, maybe a couple of washers, and then we can just tighten this plate down as far as it will go, and we know that it's completely level. Put in a bit of stud lock on the bolts so that when these go down and tied up, things will stay where they're meant to stay. One more addition is that I'm opening up the top hole to 8.5. It's a nice fit, but this way it's a much quicker way of adding the plate on. Put just chamfer on the holes. That plate should just drop on. Yeah, that goes on nice. Nice and easy now. Here we have a more ornate embossing plate that I'm going to use to put a design into the front of a booklet. So I'm just going to wet that leather. Tighten this up evenly. And then leave it for about 15 minutes. Now we're looking there, see quite a good sandwich. It's been about 15 minutes in there, and that's the plate. And that's what the cover looks like. So not bad at all. It's going to be a booklet that'll go inside like that, and this will be dyed, and that should be a nice looking cover. as you can see, the embossing works pretty well. Here's one of the designs for a book cover or a booklet cover. We've got a card case embossing, a stylized dragon, and various key rings and patches for hats